Next up, I'd like to introduce a coworker that I have the honor of working very closely with day in and day out as he helps navigate our customer requests and innovations. He is critical to establishing and executing Lotame's product strategy. Pierre Diane, Vice President of Product Management at Lotame.
Thank you, Alex. This is going really well. It's really fun to watch the chats and to see everyone engaging. This is really terrific, and thank you one more time, Bill, Mike, and Jordan, for that really important update on what Pram is doing and robust discussion. I am very excited to share with you the latest innovation that we are working on here at Lotame. And without further ado, I'm going to launch in. So, first of all, I am Pierre Diane. Some of you may remember me and my past bow ties back from when I was just your regular standard product manager, because I've been here at Lotame for 5 years. Well, 6 if you count 2020 twice, which really we all should. Rex. I mean, this year has been a doozer. There's been a lot of disruption this year, aside from the obvious global pandemic that has upended all of our lives. The advertising community, as we've all just gone through, has been dealt a crazy hand. All of you already know this stuff, but new privacy regulations, cookie deprecation, the restriction of the IDFA, the list goes on and on. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if an asteroid hit the Earth during my chat today. I mean, it seems like anything is possible these days as long as it's bad. But anyway, 2020, enough already. However, with all of these big disruptions comes big opportunity to make things better when it all sorts out. I'm going to read this quote because I believe it. If everyone's being disrupted, the only way to deal with disruption is to lead it, and lead it in a constructive way that creates growth and value. So what is the marketing, advertising technology industry's main challenge? It has to do with third-party tracking. So the gentleman that we're just discussing, the Pram initiative, is about saving third-party tracking, the brand marketer use case, those things of attribution, engagement with customers, those things, and I think it bears repeating, those things power the open and free internet. We must satisfy those use cases. So the big question we're all asking is, how do we solve for the current limitations of third-party tracking in a way that protects data privacy, but also creates growth and value? How can we do it without relying on the trillion-dollar walled gardens to make those decisions for us? Can we still keep the web open, ad-supported, and transparent? And to be clear, the Pram, everybody out there is also working on this problem and coming up with different solutions. And this is Lotame's particular effort towards that challenge. No one has an answer yet. All of us, from Alphabet to tinysite.com, are working hard on this to get it right in this environment. Now, there is one potential solution out there that people have been talking about called the first-party data-only strategy. This concept that siloing one's visitors' data to only one's site, making a walled garden of your inventory. And yes, we agree first-party data is extremely valuable. Lotame has been helping its customers create value from their first-party data for 8 years. We know the space, but we also know that first-party data alone is not enough. Disconnected from second and third-party data and its insights, and relying solely on contextual data is not verifiable, half as effective, a horrid user experience, and contrary to the opinion of those espousing it, it's not GDPR exempt. Using first-party cookie cache and local storage to track users across session and domain is, according to GDPR, as invasive to personal data privacy as using the third-party cookie or an email or a phone number. It still requires active consent. So this first-party data-only strategy sacrifices transparency, accountability, and control for a false sense of safety. Digital advertising needs a common, connected, and connective language that creates growth and value for everyone. You heard the gentleman on the Panorama panel talk about this very thing. Because look, everyone listening to this presentation loves the internet. We love the internet. Some of us were around for its birth and christening. It's like family. We need to do what we can to keep the web open and free. That's why I'm very proud to announce the Lotame Panorama Identifier, a global, cookieless, people-based identity solution for the anonymous web. Let's dig in. The Lotame Panorama ID is based on three important pillars. It's people-based to solve for the third-party tracking challenges. It's privacy-first to solve for our responsibility to consumers, and it's open to all to solve for creating value for everyone in the ecosystem. And yes, it's cookieless. So let me go into each of these three pillars for you. The Lotame Panorama ID is people-based. What do we mean by that? So public service announcement, these are not people. Unfortunately, many companies out there spend a lot of time trying to convince you that they are because people are who we want to engage with. We want to talk people. You know, what Lotame means by people-based is understanding, finding, and engaging with people, not devices. It's because people visit and love your website. Devices don't. People love and buy your products. Devices do not do that. People make privacy choices, electing to be tracked or not. Devices don't make those choices for them. This is the language we all talk already, and Lotame is making it easier to do so. So how does it work? So the Lotame Panorama ID enriches our notion of people by using our patented graphing technology to cluster together all the consented devices we see across our footprint into highly accurate and reliable individual clustered IDs. And also for clarification, Lotame doesn't onboard raw emails and names and street addresses and dates of birth to this ID. We practice data minimization, bringing on only what we must to create a mathematical prediction that represents these individual clusters. Then we link all of the first, second, and third-party data that we know about the consented devices associated to those devices into a single rich profile. This enables Lotame to leverage a rich panorama of attributes to power unified audience matching. Wait, what? What is unified audience matching, Pierre? Let me tell you about it. Unified audience matching is, let me explain. Let's assume that there is an audience and it's defined as male, 45 to 54, pretends to be French. Now, before unified audience matching, my phone is the only place I pretend to be French. My desktop, well, on my desktop, it thinks I'm an American guy born in Washington, DC. I'm 47 years old. Before audience matching, neither of my devices would have qualified for that audience. But with it, by leveraging the attributes on the phone and the desktop together to qualify me for the audience, I now am a part, both devices, phone and desktop, of this highly accurate, highly precise audience definition. So with unified audience matching, the process leverages signals across all of your digital touch points to qualify you for segmentation. With this capability, our customers can get more scale because more devices linked through an enriched audience definition now qualify, and more accuracy because conversely, we disqualify certain devices out of both a better understanding of the audience and out of abundance of privacy compliance. Get more opportunity with more qualified audiences. So what do you mean by more opportunity? Well, let me run you through the numbers. We're very proud that Lotame Panorama ID is the first, that's right, the first global, cookieless, people-based identity solution for the anonymous web. We are across the whole world, representing 1.28 billion individual cluster IDs across all major regions with an average of 3.27 devices in each cluster, broken out 72% browser and 28% mobile devices. and then a rich set of attributes, 119 web and 89 mobile attributes on average per cluster. This powers our customers' ability to increase their addressability by 200 to 400% with audience targeting. This is what we mean when we say people-based. All right, let's talk about privacy first. It's at the center of this slide because it's at the center of our solution. We believe that the Lotame Panorama ID is one of the most thorough privacy-compliant identity solutions in the market because we make consent work the way consumers think it does. Now, today, it doesn't work the way they think it ought to, where browser companies and device manufacturers are determined to drive us all into walled gardens and bunkers. Let's just go through it, right? On Monday, what we do is we opt out on that first-party cookie. But Tuesday, it gets erased, and Wednesday, we have to opt out again. Thursday, we have to tell our phone again, and Friday again on the phone. And finally, on Saturday, we have to do it. And then next week, we have to do it all over again because these companies do not propagate privacy across the links they're making. When search-based advertising companies and trillion-dollar device manufacturers control privacy, you end up with a disjointed experience that's bad for the consumer and bad for privacy. They block the communication of the will of consumers in an obvious attempt to break the chain of accountability. This is willful ignorance of the consumer privacy selection. Let's be honest, this approach is more about protecting market share than it is about protecting the rights of consumers. That's not what Lotame is doing. We're sticking our neck out and we're making a capability that we think works the way consumers think it should. We've put the product privacy rights at the heart of the product. We think privacy will work as it should. We communicate privacy choices through all of the links that we make with the cluster ID. So on Monday, you opt out on that first party cookie. We will opt out all of the devices we know about that are clustered to that individual. Further, we're going to tell all our partners up and down the chain about your privacy selection. You elect to opt out, and that choice will cascade throughout the system. Further, we are very aggressive about being privacy first in the sense that we require active consent for the device to be included in the individual cluster, but we proactively opt out the device if you opt out. Let me show you how. So the device lands on a site or app. The user assents to tracking, and that device is included in the cluster with all of the other actively consented devices. And by the way, it bears repeating that Lotame does not store any names or emails or street addresses or dates of birth along with these IDs, as many of these so-called totally compliant solutions do. We practice data minimization, such that we only connect enough data to make a prediction or a probability. We do not spend time sending you direct mail and hoping you log on to confirm you live where we think you do. Then, when you opt out, the opposite is true. If a user selects to opt out on any of the devices in a cluster, all of the clustered devices, as well as the ID, are opted out along with it. Lotame is proud to be the only identity solution in the world who will propagate consent choices through our links. Other companies will tell you that they are opting out the user, but dig in with them. I encourage you, I have, and 2A1. They do not opt out all the connected devices associated with their clusters. They only opt out the one device that happened to send in the signal. This is another example of willful blindness. Yet again, proof that most of the privacy compliant activity taking place in the industry right now is more geared towards protecting market share than actual consumer privacy. Lotame believes that truly respecting user privacy rights is both good for the user and good for the continued independence of the internet. And that is why the Lotame Panorama ID is privacy first. All right, so the Lotame Panorama ID is open to all. What do we mean by that? Well, we mean that we think a rising tide lifts all boats, and so we're building a solution for everybody. We know that third-party cookies are going away and that IDFA will be restricted, that digital advertising landscape will undergo a profound shift. Some people are saying by 2022, we're looking at something between 10 and 20% of the web being authenticated or addressable through authentication, and the rest, some 80 to 90%, will be anonymous. We must figure out how to service the brand marketer use cases in that new reality. We need to engage, and just like the gentleman on the Pram panel said, we have to responsibly address the rest of the internet. The solution we're building will partner with and interoperate alongside those solutions that concentrate on solving and addressing the authenticated web. So we're going to partner and interoperate with those solutions that focus on when folks are logged in. But our focus will be on helping our clients from both the buy and sell side responsibly address the rest of the anonymous web. As I said before, skittering off to all our own little corners of the internet will neither prove privacy compliance or help the cause of the ad-supported open web. And that is why today we are announcing an entirely free identity solution available to all our clients, prospects, and partners. The Lotame Panorama ID will provide those entities who use it scale, addressability, and privacy compliance across all browsers, all domains, and all participating platforms. And it will be entirely interoperable with other ID solutions, both authentication-based, first-party graph-based, and other universal IDs. Lotame believes the time has come to disentangle browsers and device manufacturers from the world of identity and privacy compliance. It's time to make media responsibly addressable across the entire independent web so that users can feel like they have control over their data in a real way, and so that brand marketers can effectively and simply engage with their beloved consumers, and publishers can stop turning over their profits to search and social media companies who have already taken so much. So join us. We want you to join us and start using the Lotame Panorama ID. Our technology safely brings together digital touchpoints to provide an enriched picture of your customers, readers, and users. It provides better scale and better accuracy through our unified audience matching. It provides users with a confidence that is manifesting their privacy choices as they expect it should, making sure that they control their data. And it is open to all who wish to participate and ready to operate in coordination with any willing ID solution, either homegrown or commercial. Thank you so much. Please reach out to our team through this email alias to learn more about the Lotame Panorama ID, or visit our landing page, panorama/ID. Thank you all very much for joining us all across the world. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in person very soon. And now, back to you, Alex.